now we're ready to talk about actually solving circuits, or maybe almost ready. I want to talk a little bit about how we combine different components that are connected together. So some of this I expect you've seen, but some of this may be new. So if we have voltage sources, our batteries or whatever, if we have two of them connected together in series, so this is VA and this is VB or something like that, and this is connected to some other part of the circuit, this is equivalent to a single voltage source with value VA plus VB, and you can actually kind of figure out this by Kirchhoff's voltage law if you wanted to. But anyway, so two voltage sources in series add their voltages together and they act like one voltage source. So if you put three 1.5 volt batteries end to end, you get effectively a 4.5 volt battery. If you have two voltage sources in parallel, you run into a problem. And that is, remember, these ideal voltage sources can supply whatever current is necessary to keep their two ends at that potential. So if I have a 3 volt voltage source and a 5 volt voltage source connected together in this way, this one is trying to make these 2 points 3 volts apart. This one is trying to make these 2 points 5 volts apart. They both have the infinite ability to do so. Who wins? I don't know, because you are not allowed to do this. So, I mean, in real life, if you try to do this with two voltage sources with different sizes, what you would get is current flowing from one of them into the other one. And in general, this is bad for most kinds of batteries. You can do this to recharge some batteries, but in general, this is a no-no. So we will never see anything like this, at least without more resistors between the two. So we'll never see two voltage sources in parallel, but we will occasionally see them in series. With current sources, maybe not surprisingly, it is the opposite. That is, if we have two current sources in parallel, this is okay. If we have I1 and I2, then this is equivalent to a single current source with current I1 plus I2, and that is totally fine. We cannot put two current sources in series because which one is going to win? It's the same question as the voltage sources. So this, not allowed. All right, that is what I have to say about those. So moving on to other things in parallel and series, this is our first real technique for how to solve circuit problems, which we hopefully have seen before. So if we have resistors in series or in parallel, we can combine them into an equivalent resistance. And so if we have RA and RB, this is equivalent to a single resistor with resistance RA plus RB. So this is, hopefully you can do that in your head without thinking about it. We can also have two resistors in parallel, RA and RB. I'm going to separate these two with a line just so we don't get confused. And this is equivalent to a single resistor with resistance. We can write this a few different ways. RA times RB over RA plus RB is one way to write that, or the other way is, 1 over the equivalent resistance is 1 over RA plus 1 over RB. These are just algebraically rearranged versions of each other. So anyway, in general, resistors in series are going to increase their resistance. Resistance in parallels are going to decrease this resistance. You can show that this value is always less than either RA or RB. So that simple fact is enough to let us solve lots of circuits along with Ohm's law. So we won't do one of these, but I'll just kind of describe how we might solve a problem like this. So here's a circuit with a voltage source and 3 resistors. So the way we could solve this would be to look at this and say, oh, well, these 2 resistors are in parallel, so I can take these 2 and combine them into one equivalent resistance, and that gives me a new circuit that looks like this. And now I can also combine these 2 resistors, this new resistor that was these 2, and our resistor we have over here, into a single resistor that is equivalent to those 2, and we know how to solve this. It's just a single resistor, single voltage source, Ohm's law. So then that lets us find the current flowing in our circuit, and if we know the current flowing in this, that's the same as the current flowing in this, and so we can figure out the voltage drop across each of those, and then whatever we're trying to find, whichever current or voltage we're finding, that should be enough to figure it out with one more step of Ohm's law. Okay, so hopefully you're comfortable with this and have seen this before. We will definitely have to do this sometimes, but we don't have to draw a very complicated circuit to get to something where this does not work at all. Actually, before I talk about when it doesn't work, we should do one more example of something that one more easy tool before we go to the more complicated tools. Okay, and this is actually super important. The voltage divider. Okay, so the voltage divider is a part of a circuit or a portion of a circuit or something like that that is very common. It shows up lots of places and might look, in its simplest form, something like this. So we have a voltage source and 2 resistors in series. And we know enough to solve this by combining these resistors into one resistor and finding the current, and then using that current to find each of those 2 voltages. That's a perfectly fine way to do something like this, but there is an easier way to figure that out, and that is this. If this is, we'll call this V, we'll call this, if this is resistor A and this is resistor B, this has resistance RA, this has resistance RB, and they also have a voltage VA and VB. Okay, so with Ohm's law and our rules about resistors, you can show that the voltage of resistor A is equal to this voltage, the voltage like being applied to our 2 resistors, times a fraction, and that is RA divided by the total resistance RA plus RB. Or in other words, the voltage drop across RA, maybe I'll say this, the fraction of this total voltage that we get across RA is the same as the fraction of the total resistance that RA is. So if RA and RB are equal, we have that over 2 times that, we have 1/2 of this voltage across RA and 1/2 of that voltage across RB. If RA is, let's say, 1/9 that of RB, so like RB is 9 and RA is 1, then the total resistance here is 10, and so RA would be 1/10 of that total resistance, and so RA would have 1/10 of that total voltage. The generic voltage divider equation, which works for more than just 2 resistors, is the following. Might as well write it how it's in my notes, I guess. It is the following. So Vx is equal to... Okay, so let's explain what's going on here. So X here refers to like component X, or resistor X, and Rx is the resistance of that thing, resistance of thing X. RT is the total resistance. And in Physics 211, in Physics 315, this class that we're in right now, when we see E's, They do not mean electric fields. The E in these sorts of equations stands for electromotive force, which is a kind of, I want to say outdated, but really it's just a slightly tweaked definition way of saying voltage. So E here is a voltage. In this case, it is the voltage applied to our voltage divider. So in the last example, this was like our battery voltage, that total voltage, right? I think our book uses E a lot more than I do. I tend to use V's for everything. I think the book likes to differentiate E's and V's because V is also the unit of voltage, which some people can find confusing. Anyway, so E's and V's are often interchangeable in this class. All right, so this is our voltage divider equation. This will be really useful, and this works if we have more than one thing in series, right? So all of our resistors have to be in series. But it doesn't matter how many we have. If we have 5 resistors in series, the voltage across each one is the resistance of that one divided by the total resistance of all 5 times whatever the voltage is being applied to those 5 resistors. All right, that's the voltage divider equation. There is also a current divider equation that I'm not going to use because it's not as useful, but you can look it up if you want. I wanted to use this because I wanted to specifically address this because even when we're way past DC circuits, towards the end of this class, we will still be seeing things that look like 2 resistances in series, and it's really nice to just be able to look at that and say like, oh, this resistor is twice as big as that resistor, so the voltage drop across that one is going to be 2/3 of the total, and the other one's going to have 1/3 of the total, and just see that without even thinking about it. That is a very, very useful skill in electronics and in Physics 315, because there's more to electronics than just this class. All right. So we don't have to draw, like I said, we don't have to draw a circuit that's very complicated before we run into problems trying to use this series and parallel combining resistances or the voltage divider thing. So let's just draw a circuit that cannot be solved like that. The fact that these are diagonal is not important. I could draw this without diagonal lines. So this is kind of a classic circuit called a bridge circuit, and I could just as easily draw it with these resistors pointing up and down, but this is how you often see it, and there's a reason I'm drawing it this way. You will notice that no 2 of these resistors are in parallel or in series. You might look around and say like, oh, well, wait, these 2 are in series, right? Well, no, because there's this other one connected in between them, and similarly, these 2 are not in parallel. To be in parallel, you need to have both ends connected together, and these 2 have this end connected together, but their other ends are separated by this other resistor. So anyway, this is something that cannot be solved with techniques we've talked to today up to this point. So here we're going to start a little bit on our more advanced techniques. I will say Kirchhoff's laws are enough to solve any DC resistor circuit, no matter how complicated, wherever the wires are going between 100 resistors and 100 voltage sources or whatever. You can always solve it with Kirchhoff's laws. The problem is knowing exactly how to apply those. So tomorrow we're going to talk about kind of some systematic ways of applying those and using them to get using them in a systematic way to get to an answer from a circuit. But there's one more trick we can use before we do that, and that is called the Delta-Wye conversion. And Delta-Wye here is not referring to some variable. It is literally referring to the shape of the resistors. So the idea is that if you have 3 resistors in a triangle shape where they are forming some, triangle loop between the three. This is equivalent to, so between, these are connected at 3 different points. This is equivalent to a different 3 resistors connected in a totally different way. So these resistors will have different values than these 3. I'll explain how to calculate in a second, but the idea of this Delta-Wye conversion is that you can always replace one of these with the other one, and that may simplify your circuit. So in the case of this one, we could take this delta at the top and replace it with our Y. And now we have a circuit that we can actually solve, right? Because we have these 2 in series, these 2 in series, and then that gives us 2 resistors that are in parallel. We can combine those, and then that's in series with that resistor, and we're back to territory that we know. So the Delta-Wye conversion is kind of specialized. You never have to use it. You can always use these more advanced techniques that we're going to learn next time, but I figured I would mention it because sometimes it's useful. Okay, so the rule for how to do that is as follows. These numbers are going to look funny because they're from something else that ended up in my notes, and so it doesn't matter. So if we label the resistors like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we want to know how to replace resistors 1, 3, and 5 with some different values. So so like I said, this is replaceable with our Y. My resistors are getting sloppy here at the end of the lecture. And we will number these 6, 7, and 8. And their values are given by the following equations. R6 is equal to R1 times R3 over R1 plus R3 plus R5. R7 is equal to R1 times R5 over the same denominator. And R8 is equal to R3 R5 over that same denominator. So notice that just to check our units here, we have like resistance squared divided by resistance, so that gives us units of ohms, so that's good, that checks out. So yeah, this is, like I said, this is complicated and we never have to use it, but sometimes it makes solving an equation, it makes solving a circuit possible without going to these more advanced heavy hitting techniques, so sometimes it's useful to have in the toolbox. I never remembered these equations. You can always look them up, so maybe that's what I recommend. But at least you've seen this before, and yeah, like I said, another tool in the toolbox, always helpful.